Hello, I'm Ninja Greg, and you're watching The Ninja Greg Show. Well, I'm back in my Akatsuki robes again because it's October. That season of fear is upon us once more. And so I'm going to try and keep this month as Halloween related as I possibly can. Now, people celebrate Halloween many different ways. You know, the costume parties, trick or treating, um, even watching horror movies on TV. It's certainly now when you start seeing a lot of horror movies come out of the woodwork around this time of year, both in the theaters, movies being re-released on television, or some deep special on some horror DVDs that are out in the stores and whatnot. And while there are certainly some horror movies that are really good and a lot of people really like, there are some that, despite their genre, are not the least bit frightening in any way. And that's what I'm going to talk about this first week. In my opinion, the top 5 horror movies that are not the least bit frightening. Number 5, Valentine. Okay, what is wrong with this movie? It's slow paced. It's got kind of the killer. He's got to tell. I mean, I don't know why someone thought it was necessary for the killer to have a tell. I mean, you see him in the beginning as a kid, he gets nosebleeds. And then later on as an adult, even when his face is covered by a mask, he still gets nosebleeds. Yeah, kind of a good way to take away from the mystery of your killer there, guy. I mean, we already know who he is as soon as we see him get that very first nosebleed. And yeah, you're supposed to. I get you're supposed to sympathize with him, but it's kind of hard to do when the entire movie just completely bores you to death. And who does he go after in the movie? He starts out as a middle schooler and he's asking all kinds of girls to dance with him. They all say no, and they're the ones who get the axe when he's an adult. Even though in that same scene, a group of bullies gang up on him, tear his clothes off, and beat him up. Those guys don't get their comeuppance? What the hell, Valentine? Moving on. Number 4, Child's Play. While the Chucky movies are not what I would call the stuff of best cinematography, or the Child's Play movies suck. And I picked the first one on this list because it really didn't set the bar very high for the sequels. It's like every other movie in the Child's Play. Well, every other movie in the Child's Play series, and eventually the Chucky series, because of the fourth one would start being called Bride of Chucky, so everything would just be of Chucky from that point on. But each and every movie is full of plot holes, and you've got this annoying character trying to be funny, make jokes, and even breaks the fourth wall a couple of times. And oh yeah, the characters act like idiots. I know that's a trope of horror movies nowadays, but come on. The second one, for crying out loud, starts where the first one left off, with somebody from the toy company that made the good guy dolls that Chucky spirit inhabits and uses it to make a brand new doll. Really, guy? You're gonna steal from a crime scene to make your new toy? Oh, what a moron. And he's not the only idiot in any of the Child's Play movies, I'm sure. But moving on to number 3. What would happen if you took Chucky, make him even more annoying, and made him a snowman? The answer? You would get Jack Frost. Now, I remember as a kid when they still had blockbusters. Yeah, remember those? I would go around and I would look at the different movies, and I remember I was always fascinated by what was on the covers, and the cover for the Jack Frost video, yeah, remember videos? VHS? Yeah, I'm dating myself a little bit, tells you. Anyways, I remember seeing the cover, and it had this kind of neat holographic image where if he held it one way, he looks like how he does in the movie, And if you turn it the other way, he looks kind of more monstrous looking, which he never does in the movie. I mean, the closest he gets is he grows ice teeth and takes a bite out of somebody who apparently survives because, guess what? They made a sequel, Jack Frost, and it's just as dumb as the first one. And Jack Frost is not intimidating, he's not frightening, and he never shuts the hell up. He never shuts up. He's always making jokes at any situation he can. Even towards the end of the movie when he's in a fight with somebody and he gets knocked backwards and goes flying through the air and he's kind of arched backwards and he goes, "Oh, I can see your house from here." Shut up, Jack Frost. You're not funny. You're annoying. Number 2. Leprechaun. Again, we have another movie where the killer is something that's really not all that frightening. I mean, a leprechaun? Seriously, you're going to try and scare us with a tiny little man wearing a ridiculous green outfit who speaks entirely in rhyme, rides a tricycle, and power wheels cars. And the only thing dumber than that idea for that movie is the fact that they made sequel after sequel after sequel after sequel. I think there are 5 Leprechaun movies in total. Really? The first one wasn't dumb enough. You had to milk it for all it was worth. What little of it there is, well, I gotta give it to the filmmakers because they really know how to squeeze each and every little cent out of Leprechaun, which I could never do even if I had unlimited budget and resources. Leprechauns aren't scary. But as bad as those movies were, as bad as stupid as every single horror movie I've mentioned up to this point, they are not nearly as dumb enough as what I consider the number 1 pick of a horror movie that isn't the least bit frightening. Gingerdead Man. Oh, really? That's your killer? A living gingerbread cookie? A living gingerbread cookie, nonetheless, played by Gary Busey. And yeah, he's even got Gary Busey's jacked up teeth. I don't know what his real name is, and quite frankly, I don't care, so I just refer to him as Busey Cookie, but your killer can be held in one hand. You know, I wouldn't be so intimidated of someone who's trying to kill me if I can pick him up with my hand and break him into pieces. Heck, Small Soldiers even did that. They had an entire army of little action figures trying to kill people, but you know what? They were still action figures, and twice we've seen them being picked up and dispatched somehow, like being shoved into a sink disposal or slammed onto a power line transformer. Yeah, if you can pick up your deadly serial killer, guess what? They're not scary anymore. Ugh. So that's what I gotta say about some of those movies, and I'm sure there are a lot more horror movies out there that are even worse. Heck, I probably would have put Sharknado on this list. It'd probably be at a number 6 spot if I ever did a top 10 because it gets a little extra points for its complete ridiculous awesomeness, but it's still not very good. And they made 3 Sharknadoes. But anyways, what do you folks think? What are some horror movies that you thought were not the least bit frightening? Let me know in the comments down below what you think. And if you like this video, then give it a like and maybe even a subscribe too. Anyways, I'm Ninja Greg. You've been watching The Ninja Greg Show. I'll see you next time.